Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Torah learning of inspiring and bringing more light into the world. We always like to start off with giving because how we give, that's how God will give to us. So please give generously so Hashem can give you generously. So I'm going to start off with giving some coins in the tzedakah box. We're dedicating this class tonight in merit for the complete refuah shalema for Chana Leah Sarabah Pesha Gittel, Rafal Chaim Meir Ben Simachasha, Rochel Bas Chaya Yuta, Bor Leah Bas Liba, Yosef Yitzchak Ben Bela, Razel Bas Adas, and all who need. We're also for my grandmother Bela Bas Chaya. May she live till Mashiach and with Mashiach and be well. I also do this weekly in memory and in honor of my dear grandmother, Rivka Dina Bas Yosef Yehuda. I hope you're proud. Tonight, we are going to start off with screen sharing a short film. So I hope you'll enjoy it to introduce tonight's amazing program. So give us a moment while we pull it up. Wow, love that. So before I introduce our guest speaker, I just want to say this class is also in honor of Chaya Roskin Eliav's birthday, and she should be blessed with everything, health, wealth, happiness, and all the good stuff in her life. And it was sponsored by Rabbi and Shterny Roskin of Brooklyn Heights. Thank you so much. And they also sponsored it in merit for the birthdays of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. And one of our special attendees of this class, it's her sister's 6th yard site. So we are going to do this class in memory of Fagel Bas Rav Avram Yosef. May her neshama have the highest aliyah. So tonight I'm super excited to have with us a new person in my life that I really enjoyed speaking to and getting to know a little. Mrs. Rochel Kaplan, shlucha from Maryland. She wears many hats. She's a shlucha, a wonderful mother, a wife, and a very big part of her community. But she also started a couple of things under her wing, which she'll tell us a little later. She built a mikvah she built a beautiful mikvah in her community, and she made a lot of things happen. She's also an official poet. And we'll send you the link a little bit later for you to see, and you can purchase her amazing poetry book if you'd like. And she will share hopefully a couple of her poems with us tonight. So welcome, Mrs. Rochel Kaplan. If you can please share with us this is a meaningful time of Elul. And we do it with joy and love. And we're very excited to hear how all the stories that you're going to share with us tonight, especially your family history of Chai Elul. So welcome to our class. So happy to have you.
Good evening, Chaya, and all the women who came to listen to me. I appreciate, hope you'll enjoy it, and I'll try to do my best. Chaya, you asked me to include a variety of things in my talk, and I told you it was a challenge, and it was a little hard to kind of, dig in. So I thought I would tell you my personal story about Charlotte, which actually is another thing that I'm going to list on my bio. You'll get what I'm saying afterward. I think it might have been the first National Jewish Retreat in Colorado, and my husband and I spoke. And then one of the things that we were asked to do is to be part of a demonstration. It was a competition for talent, and something I've never done, but it was really cool, and I'm really happy I did it. We were asked to reserve or list the items that we needed for the challenge we were going to make. So Friday, Erev Shabbos, we got up onto the stage. I would say there were about 5 contestants. One of them was a male, the rest were females, and I was one of them. And got up to my station, and I made my challenge. Now, what was I thinking? I thought, like, everybody's going to make a challenge. Now, of course, challenges are challenges. They kind of taste alike. So I thought, I'm going to do something a little different. I ended up making a barbecue challenge with hot dogs and barbecue sauce, etc. And the next day on Shabbos, they actually the judges, the rabbanim, the judges, they were. It was very interesting to watch them. They rated us with beans. They put aside beans for every thing that you got points for. You got a bean, and at the end of this whole thing, everybody would taste the challenge, especially the person who won. So it turns out that I did win. And yes, I asked the judge, why did you choose mine? And he said, well, they all tasted, like challah. And then I said, oh, this is different. This tastes like something special. Okay, so that was my story. And I was called the Challah Maven. So I will add that to my accolades, to my, in a nutshell, to the fact that we are Chabad Shluchim in the state of Maryland for close to 50 years. I built and run a mikvah for 20 years. My focus is adult Jewish education under the umbrella of Aleph Learning Institute. And on a personal note, I published 2 poetry books in the last 3 years. Okay, so now the topic. The topic is my prayerful journey, Chaya Elul-to-Elul. My prayerful journey begins with my family story, my legacy. My great-grandfather, paternal great-grandfather, Hirsch Melech Hecht, he ran the mikvah for men in Brownsville. And what he would do is he would wrap a few dollar bills into the towel of the mikvah goer, and we'd give it to them. And that way, he kind of respected their space, and it was no embarrassment for anybody. And when a rabbi came through, he would give extra. And one fine day, the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, came in for the tefillah, and he did accordingly. And then on his way out, he wanted to give my great-grandfather something, compensation. And my great-grandfather said he only gives rabbis money. He does not take money from rabbis. So the rabbi persisted, and he still held his own. And in the end, he said, well, in that case, I will give you a bracha. And the bracha is that your grandchildren will be my Chassidim, will be Chabad Chassidim. So to me, that is such a gift to get to be Chabad Chassidim as a result of a bracha of the Rebbe himself. So my father, indeed, 3rd generation American, joined Chabad in his teens when he came to America. I was born into Chabad, and I was named for the Rebbe's grandmother. And I too run a mikvah. My other great-grandfather from my grandmother's side, he settled in Israel the last years of his life. And he davened in a particular shul or shtibel. And that's how it was. And many years later, the Saba Rebbe passed through in Israel. He passed through and he actually davened in that same shul. And he remarked, there is a special warm feeling. And he pointed to the spot where my great-grandfather used to daven in. So, wow, the power of tefillah, the power of prayer is unbelievable. So, stories and more stories, and I hope these stories really give you more of an understanding of our topic, which is prayer. Once in a conversation with a woman in my community about going to the mikvah, she said to me she never actually went to the mikvah because no one ever asked her to go until I came along, which I found very telling. Now, in connection to prayer, I wanted to bring out a story about Moshe Rabbeinu. That Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was asked to go to speak to Paro, to let the Yidden out of Mitzrayim during the Egyptian exile, he said, Lo ish devarim anochi, ki kvad peh anochi. He said that he has a speech impediment. He's not a man of words. So how did that happen? We know way back when he was growing up, he was in the house of the king of Paro. And as a little boy, he was playing on Paro's lap. And he reached out to Paro's crown. And Paro became unsettled. He thought it meant, what we know it might have meant. And his astrologer said, you need to put this boy, you need to get rid of him. And Paro decided, no, he was going to put him to the test. So he put in front of him two different bowls. One had jewelry and jewels and diamonds. The other had hot coal. So Moshe Rabbeinu was heading for the jewelry, and a malach came and pushed his hand away. He instead touched the hot coals, put his finger to his mouth, and burned himself and became a kvat peh. He had the speech impediment. So why didn't Paro, Moshe Rabbeinu, ever get healed? So some of the commentaries say because he did not pray for healing. This is very telling. Ladies, like we tell our children, or at least the young people today tell their children, use your words. We need to use our words. Words evoke feeling. Prayer are words that express and arouse feelings. So much is encapsulated in each word. As you will see through my talk, we likely use words to express our needs and perhaps to share our deepest feelings. We may stop during prayer to meditate on a set of words, like Shema Yisrael, or pray for healing, like Rufa'enu Hashem, B'nei Rafeh. Heal us, Hashem, and we will be healed. So quite astounding to learn about the previous Rebbe's observations and remarks about his father. Quotes, whenever my father recited a blessing, not only did one clearly hear his words, with all their vocalization, fully pronounced, but one heard their meaning too. The very way they were uttered made one understand their meaning to the point of arousing them. For example, in one of the morning blessings, my father would begin, Elokai, my God. And then he would pause. Then he would continue, Nishama Shanasatavi, the soul that you have set within me, Tahorahi, is pure. And again, he would pause. He would proceed, Atavarasa, you created it, and he would pause again. And he said these words. And as he said them, one could clearly hear what was meant by the utterance, my God, by the utterance, pure, by the utterance, you created it. So again with Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was told by Hashem that he will not enter the land, he was the Roa Naaman, he was the shepherd who pastured his sheep, his people, throughout from a very young age and throughout his life, and throughout the 40 years in the desert. And he was told he will not enter the land. Why? Because he did not sanctify Hashem's name. He did not make a Kiddush Hashem. Instead of speaking to the rock, as he was told to do, he hit the rock. So as a result, Moshe Rabbeinu davened, he prayed to Hashem. Does not say Vayispalel El Hashem or Va'espalel, that I prayed to Hashem, but it says in Deuteronomy, Va'eschanan El Hashem, I begged, I pleaded, I beseeched. And that is how he approached Hashem in his prayer. And if you take the numerical value of the word Va'eschanan, it comes to 515. And that is how many prayers he prayed to Hashem. Now, other commentaries say that it's also equivalent numerically to the word prayer plus the word singing, which again is a very good vehicle to pray with, and that is singing. When a person davens and sings, it arouses them in their prayer, whether you hum, whether you sing, whatever it takes. But Chassidim of old, of Anshe Maisa, were known to sing. And that singing kept them going the entire day. It might be a little hard to use our words, it's draining, but when you sing along with it, it just zingzach. It just goes much quicker and much easier. So here, I would like to acquaint you with my prayerful journey in the form of poetry. In dealing with the life struggle, I found an outlet to express my feelings, turning to Hashem to help me through poetry. Now, I'll make it very clear. I am not a poet. I was never interested in poetry. I never liked it. I never related to it. However, I think it was gifted to me because just somehow in the middle of the night, I would take my phone out and just start writing. And it just came. If it didn't come to me in 1 minute, then it wasn't going to be a poem. And that's how fast it worked. So I will read a few poems to you, which have to do with prayer. Is that okay, Chaya? Chaya? Oh, you're muted. It's okay, yeah?
Please do, yes. We're so
okay.
excited to hear your poetry.
Okay, so first one is about the Baal Shem Tov, the master of a good name. And it's for short, he's called the Besht. So you'll recognize that. The name of the poem is Joyful Prayer in the Forest. The great Besht would seclude to connect to that which would elude. Eyes uplifted in prayer for the common good, where humor echoes through the wood. My next poem is called Moda Ani Chat. So in the morning, first thing, we say Moda Ani, and we thank Hashem for returning our soul. The Moda Ani Chat goes like this. There is humor in the universe. Infinite God, great God, finite, vulnerable beings, establishing real relationships, even over a cup of coffee. And the final poem is called Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, we say 5 tefillos, 5 prayers. The last one is Ne'ilah. It's the closing prayer. Here it goes. Yom Kippur. My tank on empty, my mind a fog. I focus on the words, the prayer book, with God I dialogue. The place we are at, keeping track, each service I got down pat. Finally, the day sets with grace. Ne'ilah, the ark, I'm face to face. Shema Yisrael peaks to shrill sound. Our voices as one, souls undone. Yom Kippur is over. The work has just begun.
Wow.
Okay,
Love that.
so that's the first part, the prayer part. And now to the part of Chai Elul and Elul. I hope I don't sound repetitious because we played that video, but I will expound a bit upon that video by sharing a little more in detail about each of the great luminaries, Hasidic luminaries, the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. The Baal Shem Tov was more general Chassidus. He laid the foundation. At the age of 36, he revealed himself to the world, and he taught, for the most part, the basic tenets of Chassidus, how we should behave. He taught about divine providence, that even a blade of grass is personally supervised by God, by Hashem. Everything, every single thing that happens to a person, not generally speaking, but in details, are all prescribed by Hashem, by divine providence. He taught the love of a fellow Jew, even a Jew who one never met at the other end of the world, that we need to have real love. And that love, Ahavas Yisrael, is even to a fellow Jew who we never met. Allah has kama v'kama to people in our family and people around us, which that in itself could be a work. It could be, a lot of work during the month of Elul. Then there's the recognition and acknowledgement of the simple person, the simple Jew, the unschooled Jew, to recognize their place in our community, to recognize their superiority in their innocence and their pashtus, their simplicity is just something remarkable. And that is very, very important to recognize in one another. And then what is so wonderful, my daughter-in-law and children are living in my house during the summer. And my son taught me something very new. He's my baby, my youngest. He would say every day, he said, the Baal Shem Tov taught Safra Tava. Every morning he would say to Hashem, good morning, my creator. Good morning. And it is such a wonderful thing to hear that that he sensed that, and that is something he shared, and it's not something I knew. And I gained so much. If I gained nothing else from them being in my home, that is something I gained. Just to turn to Hashem and say, good morning, my creator, and thank you. The Alter Rebbe, on the other hand, who he called the Baal Shem Tov Zayda, he was the luminary, the foundation of Chabad Chassidus. He wrote the Tanya, which is the basic book of Chassidus, and upon that, all the other Rebbes expounded. Now, the Alter Rebbe, he was a great scholar at a very young age, and he was presented with a dilemma. What should he do at a certain point in his life? Should he go like two paths diverged in the yellow wood? Which path should he take in life? Which school of thought should he follow? Should it be the path of the Mezritch Maggid in Mezritch, who was the student of the Baal Shem Tov, or should it be the Vilna Gaon, who of course lived in Vilna? And he had to examine what they each taught. The Vilna Gaon taught about the greatness of Torah learning, scholarship, and he already had that. The Mezritch Maggid, of course, taught the Hasidic teaching of prayer. How can we delve into prayer? How can we connect to Hashem through prayer? And there is just so much about prayer that brings us to what I'm going to teach soon about the love and fear of God. How can we actually get a grip on that? And that would be through Hasidic philosophy. And he decided, because he needed to learn that, he would go to Mezritch, and he became the student par excellence at Mezritch. And the rest is history. He was the first Chabad Rebbe of a dynasty of 7. Now we'll go on to the general month of Elul, the entire month of Elul. The entire month of Elul, in a nutshell, that is, debuts the dynamic of the two-way relationship between Hashem and the Jewish people. So we know that Elul stands for, it's an acrostic, it stands for Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. Now this is all from Shir HaShirim. It's one of the 24 books of the Torah, and it's the book of the love relationship between Hashem and Bnei Yisrael. And it is so wonderful, and it is so pure, and it's the Holy of Holies. And so Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li is the acrostic for Elul, and then we flip it over to Dodi Li V'Ani Lo. That Hashem is to me, and I am to him. So let's start with Dodi Li V'Ani Lo. That is where Hashem is initiating the process. Hashem is the king in the field. During Elul, he is approachable. He shows us all a smiling, welcoming, embracing face. Mare panim sochakos l'kulam. And he is very approachable. He's very reachable. And we have to feel free, and we have to use our words. And we have to speak to him, and we have to reach him, and we have to let him know what we need. If we need healing, we have to let him know. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu possibly did not do with, when he had that impediment, according to the commentaries that I read. So what's so interesting about this time is that it's such a prayerful time of the year, because unlike the time Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, when Hashem is Behechel Malchuso, he is in his palace, and in the palace you can't just come knocking on the door. You need to have pull. You need to be able to get through the door, and that is not easy. And you need to reach the king. And that is behind closed doors, is not that easy. It takes a lot to get there. And the preparation for that is during Elul, when we can approach the king, and the king will not forget us. He will remember us when he is in his palace. So we need to make that recognizable difference during this month and make sure we are noticed and we are heard. And of course, we'll be remembered. So now let's go on to Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. I am to my beloved is to me. Another verse from Shir HaShirim, which is so remarkable, is Dodi Dofek. My beloved is knocking on the door. Now, Hashem is with us. Hashem is always with us. We are never alone. Hashem during Elul is knocking on the door, and he wants us to let him in. And he uses these beautiful terms to get close to us. Achosi, my sister; Rayasi, my wife; Yonasi, my dove; Tamasi. So I want to bring out a point here, which I've thought about a lot, and I realized that this is a very important Hasidic concept that we should take to heart. And that is, I guess it does fit in with the heart, because the point is that when Hashem comes knocking on a door, what he wants from us is something different than any other time. He wants us to show him our love for him. What does Chassidus teach us? You say Shema, and what's the next thing you say? V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha. You should love God, your God. How? B'chol levavcha, with all your heart. B'chol nafshecha, with all your soul. B'chol ma'odecha, with all your might. You know, we do mitzvahs. We do so many mitzvahs. And we do mitzvahs more like Karimo, like more than any amount that we can ever imagine. The Jewish people are full like mitzvahs, like Karimo, pomegranate, which we will eat on Rosh Hashanah, and we will take note of. But question is, when we do the mitzvah, do we connect to Hashem in a way that we stop and think about the love that we have for Hashem, for whom we are doing these mitzvahs? Okay, that love is something that is very deep in us, and it's something that Hashem, we want Hashem's love, but we are asked, we are called upon, because Hashem wants our love. He wants us to show him love, and Chassidus expounds about Avas Hashem so deeply and so many levels. And so I think it's a great opportunity in performing mitzvahs that we also just try to tap in to that place in our heart where we can express our love to Hashem, and do it with attention, so that the love is part of our mitzvah. So now for a few stories. A story of Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchev, who is the defender of Israel, also in the 1700s, when the Jewish people were going through difficult times during his lifetime, which is not an anomaly. What the Reb Levi did then, because he was the kind of person that looked for the beauty, he looked to defend the Jewish people. He went to synagogues and he would seek out people who were davening in a very special, unique way. And he happened to notice a particular individual, very simple, unschooled individual, who he went over to him and he said, "Tell me, when you daven, how do you daven? What approach do you take? What do you think about? What do you meditate on?" he actually told him a pasuk, and he actually interpreted the pasuk a little differently than what is really meant for the pasuk. But without getting into that, he brought out the point that he tells Hashem, you know what, Hashem, we need answers here. We need you to pay attention to our, even though we have inequities, to realize that we mean well. And he said, see us as your children. Now, not just any children, see us as your little children, as your kinderlach. Because any parent, when their little children misbehave, they come in from the outside all muddied up. When they, they get into trouble. The little children, how long will you hold it against them? Of course, you can you almost feel like smiling. It's just so cute. And that is what this person was telling Levitt, that, when I tell Hashem that we are his kinderlach, he has to hear us. As a result, the decree was annulled at that particular time. I'd like to conclude with a story about my mom, Mrs. Chaya. She got a lot of directives from the Rebbe, Rabbi Nachum Mendel Schneerson, our Rebbe, and I really did not know much of what happened along the way, but when she was interviewed, to our benefit, we found out a lot of things, but it's just totally remarkable. And in this, here's my story. I would like to quote my mother, blessed memory. She says the following: after I was already a mother of several young children, I recall him asking me, do you pray every day? I answered that I say the Shema every day and also the morning blessings, but I do not recite the entire prayer service because I am busy caring for my children. I need to be in tune with them so I don't have any time where I can concentrate properly on prayers. So he said, if you would ask me if you should pray, then I would tell you that yes, you should pray every day from beginning to end. The best way is to do it a little bit at a time and to add more each day until you are able to finish all the prayers. Do that every day. Don't be concerned with the children when you are praying. Find somebody to watch them for that amount of time. Hearing his words, I said to myself, my mother is saying, this is going to be my new life and my new outlook. And from then on, I made sure I prayed every day. And this had a strong impact on my life. I felt that the Rebbe always had me in mind. He made sure I was taking care of myself physically and then also spiritually. When he urged me to pray every day and be connected to Hashem, he set my life in front of me. And that kept me going through all the years that I've been on this earth. I will never forget the times I had the privilege of speaking with him. None of that has left me, not to this very day. And so my prayerful wishes to each and every one of you for Shana Tova Umesuka, and for Ksiva Chasima Tova, and for all blessings, everyone, to each for whatever they need. Hashem should hear you loud and clear from the field into the Heichal Malchuto, and you should write and seal each and every one of you and us with a sweet year, a year of life, and a year of hope, and a year of positivity. Chaya?
Wow. Thank you so much, Rochel, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share with us those beautiful words about prayer, your beautiful poems that you wrote, that you didn't ever know that you had this talent, but now you do have this talent and you are a poet. These are two books that I posted in the chat. One of them is, one of them says triumph. It's just hiding.
The details.
Okay.
And the other is triumph of truth. Poetic words to express and empower when you are speechless.
Wow. And how amazing that you took the time to take your gift and make it into a gift for everyone that everyone can have in their own homes and read. And we were talking a lot before the class because we spoke for many hours about different concepts and different things, making this class come to fruition. And I was like, how did you get everything done? And I thought when you said like the Aleph Learning Institute was the Aleph Institute, and you're like, no, it's totally separate. Everyone confuses it. So can you just tell us what the Aleph Learning Institute is?
Sure. So I guess it started with a mimer, Bassi Lagani, where speaks about the fact that when it comes to eating and sleeping, people have their set times, and they don't change that. You know, if you want somebody to just say, oh, just change it a little bit, make it more accommodating so we can join together. People usually like to stay stuck on their set times for eating and their set times for sleeping. When it comes to Limud Torah, the Rebbe says that is where people are much more flexible. They, you know, okay, sure, I'll do it later. I'll do it shorter. I'll abbreviate. It just seems to like get shortchanged on some level. So my thought was that since my Aleph Learning Institute is meant to have food involved, greatest food and drink that brings people together, that I would incorporate the Limud Torah into the settings that exist already, which is the eating, so that each class, each talk, each speaker would be connected with food, whether it would be like Torah and tea, whether it would be just a cafe, study hall. Anyway, those kind of concepts. And Aleph, because Alufo Shalom, it's all about the very beginning of learning. If you know Aleph, you teach Aleph.
Wow. So how often does this happen, the Aleph Learning Institute? Like how?
Okay, so all my adult Jewish education really goes under that umbrella. And I'm working on a building, and I do fundraising. And yes, it's taken its time. Yes, I realized that good fundraising does take time, and I enjoy all of it. I really do. I need the time. I need to live long enough to make it happen. And I have improved my design because COVID, interrupted it, and COVID actually added to the cost of my building by at least $1 million. So I ended up shaving off the top level, and I cut away the second story so that now I am back to 1 million less for the building. So now I'm getting good feedback that people appreciate that the building is less complex and more easily accessible to the people in the community. It's not too difficult to carry this through. I mean, they feel more confident that this is a working, building. It's more practical, as they say. So what I decided to do is I love high stories. I love very tall ceilings, and I'm from New York. So I decided to raise the ceilings of, no pun intended, of the first story floors to be very, very high. And to then add, we needed outdoor space to add a rooftop outdoor sort of semi-enclosed space so people could sit outdoors as well. So yeah, it has and it also has a lounge. I added a lounge. I took away some of the office space to make a lounge so that It could be support groups in that lounge. And in the back of the lounge, it would be like a area for children to play in the playground. So very likely women who come to the lounge could then have their children play in the playground. So it does, I mean, of course, it has the cafe and study hall, similar to Basil. I like that look. And I hope this works. I got some good response today.
Wow.
I did. I got
So you created this building, like no big deal. Yes, a big deal. You built a mikvah. Can you tell us a little bit about the mikvah?
Sure. Yes. See, the mikvah is in our existing Chabad house, which is used primarily as a shul, but also now we have, I don't know if you call it a zal with students like 14, 15-year-olds. So that's what they're in that building. And I have the mikvah it's a walk up, like a few steps up. And it's, and what we would do here is we would, at the point where the mikvah is, we would join the Aleph building. I know it sounds strange because it's supposed to be private, but the way it would be set up, it would have retain its privacy and still be linked to the building, which it's supposed to be an extension. And both these two aspects of the building are actually belong to me. You know, they're mine. They're what I did. And I feel very connected. And I like that I have a handle on these two areas of the building. So anyway, the building, I got the architects at a wedding. The husband and wife were, I mean, I don't know, I hope she's okay, but he passed. And they both worked for the government and they're architects. So I got them to agree to donate their time to design the mikvah. And so anyway, let's see, yeah, we have a few names from Crown Heights people in our mikvah who donated, who helped us build the mikvah. Like I said, we just celebrated 2 years ago, the 18th anniversary, Chaya anniversary. Since it was like around COVID, I end up bringing boxes of wine and cheese that I put together to all the people who were invited, sort of, quote unquote, by the honorees. So I had honorees. One of the honorees, you might know who they were. They were the couple who were the Surfside. What was the name again? You know, that couple that passed in Surfside from Chabad. Ainsworth, yes. I happen to know them, and I felt they were the most beautiful couple, and I wanted them to be give them the honor at the mikvah. So yes, they were one of my honorees.
Wow. Yes. Wow, what a special honor. I actually know their daughter-in-law very well and son and some of their family, and I'm sure they know about this honoree that you did. I hope they do.
Yeah, I did. I shared it with the family, sure.
What a merit, and we should see them.
We have a couple. We have, you know, young, like we get a mix of religious and non-religious people who want Bar Gali Bar. Of course, we were the first Bar Gali Bar in Baltimore, and so we are now at 20 years.
For the viewers that don't know what that is, could you just explain what bar?
Oh, I'll try. There are different ways of constructing a mikvah, and you can have where you have bar litzad bar, a mikvah that is on the side of another mikvah, and the mikvah that is not the mikvah that you go into, but the one on the side is the one that gets the rainwater, and so it feeds into, or it kisses. There's like a place where it's like there's a cut in the porcelain or whatever you have, and the waters kiss, and that's what it's called. And so with us, ours is bar agave bar. So our mikvah is, one is under the other, or one is on top of the other. So the one on the bottom has the rainwater, and then there's a porcelain plate, so to say, and there's a cut in it, and that's how it kisses the water that's above it, which is our mikvah, and the mikvah that we use. And what can I tell you? It's just wonderful that I'm able to follow in the footsteps of my great grandfather, Rochel, who was, because we got that Chabad connection, and Barak Boris from the Reverend Rashab, we got that through my great grandfather, and so at least I'm able to continue that legacy. And of course, I put a plaque for him because my father would tell us Yutes Nissan was his, I think it's Netzach Shabbanetzach, is his yahrzeit. And so I made a determination on that day when he told me to put a plaque for him, because this is why we're here.
Wow, I think it's beyond amazing that you got a blessing, that all your great grandfather got a blessing that his entire, future family is going to be Hasidim. And I know some of your amazing sisters, and I have to thank them because they are the ones that got me to get you on the class, because we didn't know each other. So Devorah Halberstam, and I'm going to call your sister, because I call her, she was my principal, Mrs. Pekarsky, Mrs.
Yes.
Rivki Pekarsky. They both literally within 24 hours, they said, you know who you should get for your class? My sister, she's very good. And I have to agree with them. You are very good. And Hashem should bless you with everything that you need, material wealth and spiritual wealth, and an abundance of health and revealed health and happiness and joy and just everything that your heart desires. And you should live such a long life. I mean, Mashiach should come immediately. And it's interesting, we're talking about the mikvah, but I just was told today that each time you go to the mikvah, you bring the geula, which is the redemption, closer. And it's up to us to do that. And the women have, a time, it's in the month of Elul, but we have a time every single month to be so close to God. He's literally in the waters with us, and we can pray for anything that we want and need in the mikvah. Now, men, women, and children, we're in Hakel year. Tonight we had 61 ladies live on the class. I apologize anyone that thought it was a Wednesday night class. We switched it to Tuesday night, so we will send out the recording to you. So you'll hear this when you listen to this later. But the men, women, and children used to gather and bring sacrifices to God. Today, we can't do that because we don't have the Beis HaMikdash, which we mourn, and we hope to have it very soon. But what we could do today is learn, which we're doing today and every week, and hopefully every day in your personal lives. We can pray, and we can, join together in learning. When there is 10 people together, that's when it says the Shekhinah, God's light, rests. He rests all the time, but it's stronger. And imagine 10 times, 6 is 60. We had 61 ladies. So how much of the light came down on this class in our personal lives? So may we merit to have the coming of Mashiach. So we'll have Hakels together every day. And it's so awesome, the Hakel feeling. It's almost over. We have it till Rosh Hashanah. And really Hashem should just send us all everything we need, because we all need Mashiach. Everyone has something that they're yearning in their lives. It could be a loved one that they want to see again. It can be health. It could be happiness. It could be joy. It could be they're waiting for children. It could be that they're waiting for their other half, nachas from their children. So we really should just strive to, just like the Rebbe told your grandmother, your mom, which I think is so beyond amazing, which I hope to make some changes in my personal life with prayer, because sometimes it's hard to be tied down and pray. And I always say, thank you, Hashem, for making me a woman. There's a book about that by Rabbi Roskin. But really, we are obligated just as much as men to pray. And we have a time when prayer, it shouldn't be like an obligation. It should be more like a honor that you get to talk to God. You're literally talking to God while you're praying. Like everyone, I mean, I don't know about today, but in the past, everyone always wanted to meet our presidents. It was a big honor. Right now, we're living in a time that everything is a little interesting. In all the countries, everything's a little upside down, inside out. And the only time it says that before Mashiach comes, that's what's going to happen. And that is what's happening. But imagine meeting, a big celebrity that you want to see, someone that inspires you. But how much greater is to actually meet God, and we can't see him with our eyes, but he's there. He's really there. And so I hope that meaning me also, will tap into just meeting God and talking to God and asking and begging and asking for others, because when you ask for others first, then Hashem answers you first. So we should take the time to reach out to our loved ones or friends or people we didn't hear in a long time, and just say hello, thinking about you, didn't hear from you in so long. Don't wait for them to reach out to you. You reach out to them if it's possible. And today, Hashem made it so easy. We're so lucky. Everything's at our fingertips. We can be on the Zoom with all the ladies around the world. This never happened. It used to be making a phone call was a whole story on its own, expensive, had to wait in long lines, bad connections. Today, we have connection. It's incredible. So we should connect more, and everything's at our fingertips. You need to get somewhere, just take your phone, put in an address, you get picked up like a private person, like a rich man, you have a Uber driver, your own driver at your door. It's pretty amazing. And may we just see all the amazingness that we have in our life, and we should thank Hashem for everything we do have, because if we wake up in the morning and we're able to say Moda'ani and we're able to go to the bathroom, that's already a reason to say thank you, because it's a gift. And if we're able to wake up in the morning and walk and talk and see, that's already a gift, and hear. And anyone that needs a refuah shalema should have it immediately, because, we don't understand why Hashem tests us, but sometimes it's to get to a greater, and everyone should just see it immediately, and not have to suffer. And really, Mashiach should come now. That's my Hakel wish for this year. We're ending off with Hakel, and we should have Mashiach. We deserve it. Like, look, I just want to say, we had the most, everyone always asks me, how do you get the best speakers? And we have speakers from all walks of life, and every single person is a world and has so much to offer the world. And everyone should tap into their gifts, because when we go up to Hashem, they're not going to say, why, they're going to say, why weren't you the best version of yourself? Not why weren't you like your neighbor? They're going to say, why weren't you like you? And we all have gifts. And look at Rochel Kaplan. Look at her gifts that she didn't even know she has some gifts, and they're all coming out now. She's a poet, even though she says she's not a poet. She is.
First podcast, but I think it's my first podcast. Yes, I know I've done a lot of Zooms, but I think it's my first podcast.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. And she built a mikvah, a beautiful mikvah. How many merits are you gonna get for that? So many women. Redemption is definitely coming closer. And then she has a beautiful cafe in her center that people can come and congregate and talk and learn Torah together, which is pretty amazing. And then she has her Aleph Learning Institute, which is beyond. And this is just one shlucha, just one emissary of the Rebbe, and we're all emissaries of the Rebbe. We all have what to give the world. Everyone has a different mission, and we should tap into it. And we all need to help bring Mashiach. So I'm begging everyone that if you know someone that, like Rochel said, someone in her community never went to the mikvah, and she asked her why, and she said, because no one asked me to go. So don't wait for them to ask. You bring it up to them. We are so lucky. We have beautiful mikvahs around the world. I'm so grateful, because the Rebbe was very into having beauty within, and today we have such beautiful mikvahs in Crown Heights to choose from. I'm talking about 10-star, nicer than any hotel spa that I've been to. These mikvahs are beyond. I love them, and it's just a gift, to be able to go to the mikvah and skip to the mikvah and know that you're talking to God and royalty. When you have like important guests, you usually bring out your china, right? So same with God. When you want to talk to him, we should talk to him in beauty. So for those of you that want to connect and hear this, please reach out to me. I'll connect you to beautiful mikvahs around the world. They just built a beautiful mikvah in Cancun, Mexico. And every day new mikvahs are going up, which is so, so special. Just a short little thing about a mikvah I just want to share. Someone dedicated a room for me and my husband in Israel, mikvah that I got to actually go see. And I was so inspired that a friend thought about us in our honor to have blessings. They dedicated a room for us, and it was beyond. So anyone that goes to that mikvah prays for us. So I'm going to ask you, when you go to the mikvah, to pray for your friends and pray for others. Don't just pray for you, pray for your friends and everyone that needs. And most of all, pray for Geula, for Mashiach, because when Mashiach comes, we're not going to have any more pain, any more suffering, no more heartache. It's just going to be a beautiful world, a beautiful garden, which we are seeing we have, but it will open our eyes. We'll get to see even more beauty than we already have. So we're going to conclude now with a video, and then we're going to have a farbringen, a Hasidic gathering, and that we're going to turn the recording off. So if you can just look at the screen.
Der Sefer Atani, wie der alte Rebbe alleine mit Weihe. Verseh, dass den Nisinas Eizes, so die, was stehen bis Feikus, es sei seine Nevuchen v'chulu.
I had a speech impediment. I would stutter from time to time, and it was very troubling to me. Rebbe told me at that time, it comes from a lack of self-confidence. Rebbe used those words. It comes from a lack of self-confidence. And a Jew has to know, Hine Hashem nitzav olav, u'malech ha'aretz kavoidei, u'mabet olav, u'vaychen klolos v'levim avdu kuroi. And I should look at the beginning of Perek Mem Aleph in Tanya.
Azafal pi, was melech ol horetz kvede, legt op als von a Seid, bechen klois v'lev, vernehm sich mit jeder Rieden basunde, in evde koroi, als in Malle sein Tafki durch Schlichus, von Lasses Leis Border dire betachtenin, und sie doch verstandig, aber schau der Rebester guckt, und guckt in ein Leben von Aria Amitis, it was der größte Nisinas Keir, was sie kann sein.
There's a supreme being, and that he's watching over us, and he's watching over you, and that this whole world is created because of you, so that you should do Torah and mitzvahs. When you think about those words diligently, it'll eventually disappear. And Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
Wow, thanks for sharing that video. I saw that video today and I got so inspired. And the Rebbe said that if you have any doubt, like to read chapter 41 in Tanya, I wasn't so clear on the video, but chapter 41, and how appropriate to share this video. Firstly, that's my friend's dad on the video, so I thought that was special. Also, my childhood friend. Also, like the Alter Rebbe, which is, we're honoring his birthday for this week. He wrote the Tanya, and it says that if you want peace of mind and heart, you should learn the Tanya. And that is that is Hasidic teachings. And I'm telling you that when you learn Tanya, because I learn it every day with Rabbi Gordon, you can go to Chabad.org and check it out. When you learn Tanya, it changes your perspective. It does a little switch in your mind. So many issues just go away. You really don't need as much as you think you need, like therapy and different things, because all the answers are in the Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe said, because people used to come to him for questions, it took him a very long time, I believe over 20 years to write the Tanya. And he said, it's going to apply to anyone that has any questions. So it goes through every single topic. And it's really cool stuff. So in honor of Chai Elul, the birthday of the Alter Rebbe and his spiritual grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov, who brought so much extra light into the world, I think that there was a time that people weren't so into it because they weren't ready for the light, but we're all ready that the light should turn on. And Chassidus is, it brings more light into our homes and in our families and our perspectives. And I really hope that everyone will add more learning in their life with Chassidus. There's so much out there. There's teachings, but then and people teach it on YouTube. I can recommend Rabbi Paltiel. He's someone that I really am inspired by. But there's so many people that teach Chassidus online. So check it out. You can go to Chabad.org. And YouTube has you could just type in what is Chassidus, but Chassidus gives us a much clearer perspective on life. And it just brings like, like it's like passion. It says in Tanya today, a 2-year-old teacher, which I'm actually going back into the classroom, it's a real gift to be able to teach children about Rosh Hashanah and get them excited about it. So I hope I will pass that test this year again and be able to give that over to children. But it's really a gift to be able to teach children. So I'm very humbled and honored that I get to do that. But in Tanya, it acknowledges a little child, and it's not as easy as we think. We have to work on it to bring it out, like that a little child can understand the information or the concept that we're giving on their level. And Chassidus really sharpens our brains and our minds. So if you'd like to start learning Chassidus, reach out to me. I could tell you what I do, but it's awesome. And I don't know anyone that learned Chassidus that wasn't happy. It really just changes your life. I just called my dear nephew. It's his birthday today. He should have a lot of mazel. Arguably ben Chana. He started school in Israel in the Holy Land in yeshiva. And I asked him about his school, and I asked him if he has any Chassidus classes, and he's had one teacher teaches Chassidus. So I said, how do you like it? And he said he really liked it. And I was very proud and happy that he did. And Kanai Nahara is 19 years old, and it's never too late to start learning Chassidus, So I hope we'll give the gift to the Alter Rebbe and the Baal Shem Tov, because they went through a lot to bring this light into the world. It wasn't easy because the dark side was trying to stop it. Anything good is not easy to bring in because there's like, when you have a simcha, something always goes wrong that day. Shabbos, Friday, something always goes wrong in the kitchen, right? But it's because the dark side's coming in, trying to stop the light of Shabbos, trying to stop the light of goodness and kindness. But we have to win, and we have to make sure that we try to accomplish that the light will stick and the dark side won't win, because sometimes it does win, because it is our Yetzer Hara, the dark side. So just remember, just push away those thoughts, and to remember that, it's unpopular. The good thing is unpopular today, the right thing, but always stay in the right lane. That's my message for tonight. And it says what Malach Mechol can't accomplish out of our bringing, we could, and that's what we're having. So I'm going to make a l'chaim on water tonight. Sorry to disappoint, but I'm going to say another bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakol niv'davarei. I'm going to take I made a bracha before, so I'm really not supposed to talk in between blessings, but I want to dedicate this class that Dvorah Leah Bas Yafa Liba. She's undergoing a very important doctor's appointment tomorrow with tests, so everything should just turn around for her, and her results should be amazing. And anyone that needs good results, you should have it and you should see it. And I just want to say one thing: Torah is protection. And sometimes like a machla, which is, a cancer, we're not supposed to say the word, is almost like our Yetzer Hara. And what could stop that, because stop that channel from entering, and, is the Rebbe said 12 psukim is a form of protection. So say the 12 psukim every day. Anyone in your lives, we should say it to our children and to ourselves, and to our friends. We think it's just about the children, but it's a form of protection, and it's verses from the Torah, the 12 psukim, and also Torah is protection. It's like like those what is it called? I forget, but it's a real protection for us, and we should remember that we should always turn to Torah because all the answers are in the Torah. And may we merit to just have Mashiach. That's my message for tonight. And thank you again to our amazing speaker and my new friend, Rochel. Great to have you. You're awesome. You should have so much nachas from all your children and from all your merits, all your things that you do. You should just continue to do more and more and more and don't stop. And keep teaching Chassidus and bring more light into not just your communities around the world. And I hope we'll have the honor of having you back. Next week, we're very honored. We're going to start again Wednesdays. I apologize. We changed the program a little bit. We're having back with us Devorah Halberstam. So excited to have her. We're going to talk about prayer again because we're in the month of Elul. And that's our topic. And it is Rochel's sister. From what I understand, I don't know who's older, but you're both beautiful. You're older? Okay. You look very young, but really an honor to get to know all, like most of your siblings. And I feel very lucky because on this class, I get to know so many wonderful people. Now, disclaimer, if anyone has any amazing Rebbe stories and encounters with the Rebbe, please reach out to me so we can share it on the class. So I wanted this to be on the recording, and sharing is caring. So if you have a story, let's share it because there's so much to learn from a story. So tonight, Rochel shared a story about her parents, and there's so many more. So I know we'll get her back. Please God, give me thumbs up if you're in. But we'll have her back to share more stories of her amazing parents and grandparents, Rebbe encounters. But so many of us have encounters, and when we hear stories of tzaddikim, it really helps. And I learned so many things tonight to take away from this, and I hope you did too. So have a blessed month, and you should have a happy and a sweet new year. And anyone that you meet, make sure to say Chasima v'Chasima Tova. Have a good gebenched year, which is a blessed year, and a happy year, and a sweet year, and a healthy year, and everything that you need. And the more people that we say it to, the angels will basically tell God, look how many people they wish to a good year. We should give her a good year. So we should always know that whatever comes around goes around, and when we do good, it comes back to us. And it's like always. So we should always only surround ourselves with goodness and kindness. And I'm going to stop the recording if anyone wants to unmute themselves. Oh, before I stop the recording, I just want to give a big thank you to all of our ambassadors, to all of our everyone that joins the class weekly, everyone that shares the class. Ambassadors it's so easy to become an ambassador. All you have to do is share the class with your communities and chats. I want to say thank you to my mentor, Mashpia of the class, Shandy Jacobson. Thank you so much for everything. And to our friend Joelle, when she's able to help with the flyers, she should be blessed with everything she needs. And I want to give a big thank you to Hashem and the Rebbe for giving me this opportunity to spreading more light into the world. I really am humbled.